Hi. Hi. I'm making this video for Johnny because I think a lot of times when people buy journals, they never tell the sellers what they do with the journal they bought. So this journal I bought from Johnny last year, and I dedicated it to my birding all year because I like to bird, and I wanted to just share with her what I did so she could see. I bird from my backyard, and I also go places occasionally. So I want to make sure I'm in frame, and so I'm going to show you. So this is the front. Now I'll tell you something I learned. I don't want to write on the front page anymore of the journals, but I did. So here's a checklist because we go up to Sequoia a lot, and I happened to nab this up there. So I decided, well, you know, I'll show that. I mean, I put it in my journal. I still want to see this white-headed woodpecker, but I haven't been up there to see it. Okay, so in here's my favorite little dream bird I want to see, the little American woodcock. And I don't know if I ever will get to see it, but so here we are in January. And I like that I evolved as I went along in the year as far as what I want to do with my journal. So I would write down different species I saw, little differences I noticed. I have a lot of blank pages, but I don't mind. So at the end of the month, every time I see a bird, a species, I write it down. This is just in my yard, not when I go places. So this January last year, I saw 19 different species in my yard. Okay, so now on to February. Just before I get that, I have this. I'm probably going to put it. I'm going to probably take this over to my next book for next year. I didn't see any of these this year, and these are goals that I wanted to see, and some of these are in our area, so I know that I could see them. So like the magpie is not where I live, but just probably an hour or two away. Bald eagle, they're around, so I know I can see these birds, except for the puffin. Maybe I can't see that, or the pileated woodpecker. I probably can't see that, but so I'm not to February yet. This is just the end of January. My granddaughter drew this picture. I put it in here. My husband ended up having it tattooed, but I put it in here because she drew it for me. And I mean, she drew it on a big paper, and I just made a picture out of it. This was from Nick the Booksmith. This this digital. I think it's on her. What's the name of that site? Oh, if it comes to me, I'll shout it back out. But if you look up Nick the Booksmith, you can find her. It's where she has pictures. I forget. I'm sorry. So like this. Starling. I love them because look how beautiful they are. I know there's controversy about starlings, but I love them. Black Phoebe is another one of my favorite ones. So those are pictures that I saw and I put in. So we're into February now. Like this. For some reason, turkey vulture flying over. So I don't know. I'm not sure if they fly through there. In fact, there was a whole group of them, which that was an odd that day. Cedar waxwing. Oh, so excited about that. They only come through spring, and I saw one this fall too. So that's kind of a treat. They were eating some berries. That's a funny thing. I got Sears or something, or some, not Sears, Walmart, or I think Orchard. Somebody was going out of business, and they had stuff like there was a berry plant. I don't know if it was what kind of berry. So we bought it for almost nothing. I just planted it back in my backyard, and I guess it's growing. I didn't really see it. I'm not really a gardener, but this bird comes and eats the berries. We went to the Kern Wildlife Preserve, which is about 40 minutes from me in Corcoran, and so I wrote down all the birds I saw there on that trip. And that's another place. It's a big preserve, and it's so big you can spend hours. You can just drive it in your car because I have MS. It's hard for me to walk. So, you know, we can drive it in the car, get out, see a little bit. But we saw 22 species of different birds, some of them for the first time. I don't know if you can see my cat, but that's Mr. Jack right there. Okay, so we're going to keep going. So February 14, and it starts to drop off because of the summer. No, go on, honey. You can't be there. Go ahead. Okay, so we're into March. Jack, don't do that. So we're into March. This is a cute little yellow-rumped warbler. They come through in the spring and they're here for the winter mostly. So I've got one out there right now that's doing this very thing. You're kind of fogging the picture. First time I ever saw the bush tit in my yard. I'm sure they might have been there, but I've never seen them before, so I was very excited about that. This is just this bird had a deformed bill, and so I made note of it, and I went on a site and asked about it, and they told me to report it to someplace. They gave me the link, and so I reported it, and because, you know, when their bill is deformed like that, they can't eat, and they usually will die. And I saw him a couple times and then no more, so I'm assuming he probably didn't live. Oh, this is one of my favorite birds, the juncos. Oh, I love them. They're here right now too, and they've got the little hood and the pink beak, and they're just adorable. So I write about that. These are some pictures from our birding at the Kern place. So this is a Western kingbird, and this one is a Bullock's oriole, and we don't see those in my yard at all. Over here, these were regulars for a long time. I haven't seen this girl in a long time, so I don't know if she's still alive. This was a set of Eurasian collared doves, and this one was a leucistic dove. That's sort of like an albino, but not an albino. It's like they have a color differentiation in their coats, in their feathers. So they were a pair. They were always together. I called them Mr. and Mrs. Whitey because I like to name the ones that are unusual. I haven't seen them for a while though. So here we are in March. Oh, so March we had 20 visitors. So that shows birds coming through. You know, going through the Kern Wildlife Preserve. I put on this side. So the March visitors, you know, it was a pretty exciting 20. Might have been the biggest month ever for me. Okay, so now we're into April, and this guy came, the black-headed grosbeak, that's what it is. And it's really colorful and beautiful, and he's been around before, he must be flying through or something, because he only was there for a few days and then he left. But I had such fun watching him. And we started noticing the goldfinches. They've started coming through, and I started noticing them now. And of course, at this time of year, they get really bright gold because they're getting ready to do their mating, but they go away too. Here's that little black-headed grosbeak taking a bath. So fun. It was really fun. So Johnny, you see I've used a lot of these pages. I used some of this is the tape you sent me, and then I made some. Here is a mockingbird attacking a crow. He didn't like that he was around our yard, I guess. So I think this is blank too. So I don't mind the blank pages. I'm going to start a new one next year. So this month we saw 15. So now we're into May, and we're into near summer here. So it starts getting not boring, but the birds are mostly the same. This tag right here, I love this because it had a cedar waxwing on it, and that is the first year I saw him in my yard. So I wrote that on the back. Now, this is when I started deciding to do a little bit of drawing, which is sort of dangerous for me, I think. So right here, I'm writing about the cowbirds come. This is when the cowbirds come. And the cowbirds are predatory birds, and they don't make their own nests. What they do is they put their eggs into another bird's nest, and then their birdies grow faster and bigger and end up killing the other chicks. Most of the time, the birds, I think, figure out what they're doing and kick out their egg. But so this is two male cowbirds, and they always do this weird dance. And so I decided I was going to sit down there one day and try and draw it. So I don't know if I did that well, but you know, that captured that they both had their heads up doing weird things to each other, the males. The females look a lot like the sparrows that they try and put their eggs in, so they don't look anything like them. So when is it, May, that's when this stray cat showed up. And we have two cats, as you see, Mr. Jacko. I don't know if he's still in frame, but he's sitting here on the table. And I named him Todd Bubbles after a cat that was at the is it Wisconsin? The wildlife, Why can't I remember things? Because I have the brain damage in my head from MS, I think. But anyway, I named him after this funny name just because it was funny. And he just kept staying and staying. I thought, oh no, well, and I thought, well, he's a kittenish, and so maybe he'll get along. So we had him spayed, and we tried to introduce him to our cats, but all they do is fight. So he lives outside now. But for most of the day, he's in the garage. I let him out at night because I don't want him killing my birds. So, you know, it's a real problem. I wish someone would want a cat. Okay, so going on like this. So May, we only had 12. As you see, it's going down. So this is June. So now in June, an interesting thing happened. I looked and I thought I saw out of the corner of my eye a squirrel running across the fence. And I thought, well, that's impossible. There's no squirrels here in our neighborhood, none. There's a park that's down the way a little bit, but there's not usually squirrels in it. So I told my husband, who kind of thought I was crazy, but then I went out there and looked, and there, sure enough, there was a squirrel. I took a picture of him, and he ended up on my deck too a little bit the next day, but now I've never seen him again. Probably somebody killed him. I went ahead and added a picture of a pretty house finch and just a normal house sparrow, just because, you know, just because they're common doesn't mean they aren't pretty. So they're there. And this one, like I said, it's got empty pages, but there was only 9 species that month. So you see how much they go down. Can you not rub that, honey? You're making it shake. Don't do that. Sorry, everybody. Or Johnny, sorry. Okay. So then we're into July. Jack, you could just lay down, honey. And so I don't have too much going on in July, as you see. Makes me sad because I want to use all these pages, but I don't need nothing. Oh, there's my woodcock. I hope one day I could see him. So again, 9, which means these are the normal. These are the neighborhood guys. These are the regulars in my yard. August. Black-chinned hummingbird. We basically have Annas most of the year, but in the summer the black chins come around, so I have him there. And let's see, oh, I didn't count them. 12. There was 12 this time, so that's interesting. Who was different? I don't know, I don't see. Okay, so now here we are. And a hawk came, and that was a little unusual. They don't come usually they don't come until now, which is in the winter. But this guy came, and he was up there as a Cooper's hawk, looking for his exact prey are the little birds that come to my yard. This Phoebe is the most cutest thing you ever saw. It sits there on the side of my pool. I tell Gene sometimes, that's my husband, please don't clean the pool, because then it'll get, you know, then the bugs will go off and the Phoebe won't come. But the Phoebe likes to dip in the pool and get a bug and fly back. So I really love watching that. Go like this. So now we have, now this was exciting because this is the first year, because I'm keeping this journal, I realized that the white-crowned sparrows came back in September. So that's a big deal, because it used to be I thought they were only here maybe starting in January. So they came back, and here they are. They're here right now, and I really love it. So now I started again with the art, and I think I'm going to do it next time, the whole time. So these next couple months have some art in it. So this month, 14. So you see it's going up from 9. So now, October, I decided to put CJ's pumpkin in that she made. It's my granddaughter. She's going to be 14. And I thought it was cute. And I thought, well, I'm going to put it in here. Then I decided I love October. So I made little, I started doodling pumpkins and a cat, of course. And then I got a couple poems, children's poems that I remembered online. So I wrote them down. So October was fun. It's when it starts getting exciting again. This is a mockingbird. Now, mockingbirds are always around my yard, but for some reason, this guy kept coming and because they don't eat seeds, they eat bugs or something. So they walk around. Jack, you're so cute. They walk around, and he was doing this, strutting around and putting his feathers. I mean, it's not mating time, so I don't know what he was doing, and he was, you know, a little bit sassy. So that was interesting. I don't know. They'll come in maybe to get a drink out of my fountain, but they don't usually hang around. They're in the palm tree yelling at other birds to get out of the area. Maybe they have a nest. They're very territorial, like in the spring, but I don't know what he was doing. So I wrote that down. In here, now this was so exciting, and I'm so bummed out that I can't really verify it. So my camera broke. I'm telling you, that's a real problem for me. So my camera broke, and so I was sitting there on the chair doing something. I noticed a pair, because I have a telephone pole in my yard, my backyard. So I noticed a pair of woodpeckers. Now usually they're the size of about the ones that can come off and on, which are the flickers. And I thought it was flickers because it was sort of that size, but I realized out of the corner of my eye they were a weird color. Now it's sort of shaded, so I didn't have a phone. I didn't have my good camera, so I used my phone, and I had to do it through a window. So the best picture I could get was this. And I was really bummed out, so I opened the door and I was going to go out and get a picture of my phone, and they flew away. Oh. So I did Merlin, the Merlin app. You can put a picture in and ask it, and they think it's this bird, which is a Lewis's woodpecker. I'm so excited because if it is, it's a bird I've never seen before in my yard. They are in this area. It's not uncommon, but I've never seen them. So I was so bummed out, but I kind of want to claim that's what it was. But even if it wasn't that, it's that or the flickers, so it's one of the two. But I kind of think it matches this one a lot more. I did my best to, mess with the photo and everything and put it in that app, and I just kind of think it is. So this is one of, I think you did this one because it was on, I think you did this, and yes, and it's on like this. So what I did was I added this, somebody sent me this, the gal from Australia sent me this. And so I thought, well, I'm going to put it on here, and then I'll just write down some things I saw at the other place when I went to the Kern Preserve. So I saw quite a bit of stuff there, 21 or 22. We also saw a rabbit, and I put a couple of the things, like this is a northern harrier, he's out there all the time, and a song sparrow. So I put a couple pictures of that. I thought, well, that's cute because I put it's not really in my yard, but it's something I did, and so I just clipped it on here. So it looks so pretty. It's a pretty house finch right there, and with a cute little thing like this. Okay, so then on the other side, oh yeah, I should have did that. So on this side here, I don't know what this crow was doing. He was in my yard, and he had something in his mouth, looked like a pecan. We have lots of walnuts, pecans, almonds in this area because we're like an agricultural area. I don't know why or what he was doing, but he kept trying to put it in the grass, then he'd take it out. So I don't know what he was doing. So I recorded that. Oh, and this was so exciting. This has never happened before. I noticed. I almost had a heart attack. My camera was still broke, but I'm using my son's camera. So I noticed that this guy was up there on the thing. I thought, oh no, that's not a normal bird. And I looked, and he had the eye ring, and he's a western bluebird, and he happened to be here, and I was so excited about it. And he had his mate with him. So they're around. They didn't come back. They probably eat more. Bugs or seed. We even bought some special bugs to put out there, but they didn't come back. They must be somewhere else. But I was very excited because they were in my yard. And then I looked up on the line, and there were robins. So here's a robin. They're not normally in my yard either because I mostly have seed, and it's along with this robin tag I put on. I'm kind of funny like that. But I was so excited about the robin being up there. So they were around too, but he didn't really go in my yard, but he was in the line above my yard. So I wrote about all of that. It was a very good month, November. So let's see, what do we got here? We have this blue jay. He's still coming. It was a western scrub jay, not really a blue jay, but he's still coming, and he takes many baths a day unless it's rainy or foggy. I mean, just crazy, and I don't know why. I mean, he's the only one. We have lots of jays that come around. He comes in there, and today I took a movie of him taking a bath, and he probably took a bath for 15 minutes. I don't know. Then here's a little, this guy, I think, oh, it's just the beauty of the house sparrow, which is pretty. And over here we have a white-crowned sparrow. So we had new ones. So this one had 14. We're going to get into November here. So I put the little limerick my son wrote in grade school. and Anna's hummingbird there. So we started writing stuff here. The yellow-rumped warbler came back. This is him that we had on the other page over there. He came back. Now, I did a little collage in here with my Phoebe that I love. I write things, but on here, this poor guy has a tumor up there, and I took note of it. He came a few times. I haven't seen him since, so I'm thinking he probably didn't make it. But I take note of these things. This guy is just a yellow-rumped warbler, super cute. I just stick him in here. And then, okay, so first of all, there's a house in our area. We were looking for someone's dog for them, and we were driving around, and there was probably 50 ducks in this guy's yard. And my son tells me, "Oh yeah, that's a duck guy," and he gets upset if you bother the ducks. There's no water, there's no nothing. They're just in this guy's yard. He must be lonely and by himself, but he must feed them. And there's no pond, there's nothing. They're just right there. And so, you know, I took a picture and noted it. It's not in my, it's, you know, it's in Hanford, but not in my yard. Then this guy, so I looked out there again. It was a quick glance, and I saw a bird out there. And I thought his beak looked weird, and he had a more prominent stripe than the white-crowned sparrows. I didn't know what he was. And, of course, I tried to get a photo, and he left. I thought, well, you know, it looked like a nuthatch, but I thought there's no way it could be a nuthatch, right? So then I noticed on one of my sites on Facebook, there was a whole article about how because of something that happened up in the mountains, they've come down from the mountains into the valley here, and they're in the valley near San Francisco and here. So I thought, well, maybe possibly that was a nuthatch, because apparently they're down here. And I did not claim him or anything in my numbers, but it was interesting that I thought that's what it was, and then there it was. So now, see, this is the flicker I told you about. He's sort of a similar site, but he has a lot of spots, and those birds didn't have spots. That's why I think maybe that's what that bird is. And then Gene captured some photos, and he captured another photo. And I said, he usually captures starlings and thinks they're a different bird, and I always tell him they're starlings. But in this case, he captured a bird. And looking at it, this picture is not good, but looking at it, it had all the markings of a cedar waxwing. So I really think it was a cedar waxwing coming through. Merlin said it was a cedar waxwing. I believe in Merlin. So now I put this in here, even though it's not really, you know, it's not an accident. A guy at our church does falconry. And so he brought over for Gene and I to see his it's called a prairie falcon, similar to kestrel, but not. So we got to hold him and see him, and he got to display, like you give him some food down there, and he displays this behavior, which is called mantling, where they're hiding their food. Was super fun. I really had an enjoyed day that day. And then over here we have, they came back. I was so excited. It was the lesser goldfinches, so that was great. I decided to draw this. I don't know why. Oh, because Nemo. Okay, so there's a bird I called Nemo. He has a paralyzed or an unusable foot. You see, that's why I have it up there. And I thought I had a picture of him in here. I probably did. But so I wrote down how, you know, we could be handicapped or have problems or whatever. But this little bird, he doesn't know. Doesn't seem to know his foot's paralyzed. He's been around for months now. He eats, has a little bit of trouble balancing. But, you know, he eats and just lives his life. And now we have the Cooper's hawk has come back. He's around occasionally. If I hear all the birds fly away, I look out there and the hawk's out there. So we're up to 21 this month. So that was pretty exciting. And I drew this bird. A friend of mine, she had died a year or two ago, and she'd given me a bird she paint watercolor. So I tried to paint it. I did okay. It's not as good as hers. I made an error here, so I just did a little collage in there. I made my fence, because that's what my fence looks like. And it's just, I call it my Ode to Kathy. So it's right there. Thank you for this, Johnny. I really love this. It really is helpful, and it's nice that it matches the book. Don't do that, Jack. No. And so we're up to December now. I decided to watercolor this cardinal. As you see, I'm getting better and better. So I decided to watercolor him. We have no cardinals here. I just wish that we did, but we don't. It's very sad. We went to Kentucky once a few years ago just to see a cardinal. and some of the other birds that they have there, because, you know, I wanted Jean to see a cardinal and I wanted to see a cardinal. And we got to see fireflies and all kinds of things that Jean's never seen. So, and welcome back to the Junco. I'm sorry, Junco, I think. I'm not sure how you say it. I love this bird. He's a little bird, got a black hood, and he's got a little pink beak, and I just love him. He came back in December, and I was happy about that. And this warbler came back. He's called the orange-crowned warbler. I never see an orange crown on him, but that's what he is. And he was in my mint eating worms. I didn't even know there was worms. So that was interesting. He will also eat the sugar water out of my hummingbird feeder. So that's kind of interesting because it takes him so much might to fly up there, get one drink, and fly down. He can't hover, so he can only just one drink and fly down. Here's my hawk again. He was back. He hasn't gotten anything so far. And so then I just write down things. I'm finishing out the year. And when I'm done, I have my list going this year, or this month. When I'm done, I will start the other one you gave me, Johni. And I just wanted to share this because I don't think sellers ever get to really see how people enjoy the things they made. So I just want to thank you for this. And this book has really blessed me this year. So thanks a lot. Bye-bye.